Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today I have the update for my Panda palette. So this year I've taken inspiration from Laura Force. I have her linked down below. She last year did a Panda palette with her Colourpop shadows. I have taken out all of my Colourpop shadows, well most of them, out of the palettes and just have a singles collection. And I built my own palette with Colourpop shadows. We did a 12 pan palette in the beginning, then we went back to a 9 pan, and then I added 4 shadows from Viseart because the quad had a little bit of an accident. Well, the quad. My cat knocked the quad off the table and I had a shadow shatter. And so I want to use that shadow as much as I can. So I've added those shadows in. So we're back at 12 shadows total, and I'm trying to use as much as I can. So I will insert a clip of what my palette looked like last month. And then here is the palette today. So I will go over every shadow and tell you how many times I've used it this month. So the first shadow is one from the Viseart quad. I've used this 6 times this month. Then next to that is the shade, what's that shade called? Lace Up. The shade Lace Up from Colourpop. I've used that 4 times this month. Then here we have Bare to Wear. I've used that 5 times this month. And then here is Moody, and I've used that 6 times this month. Then the next row, this is another one from the Viseart quad. I used that 5 times. Next to that we have the shade Dandy from Colourpop. I used that twice. Then the yellow matte is the shade Totally Buggin' from Colourpop. I used that twice. And then here we have the shade Topanga Boulevard. I've used that 4 times this month. And then the bottom row, here is the Viseart shimmer that I've talked about. This one is the one that crumbled, as you can see. I've used that 7 times this month. Then next to that is the shade Hotness from Colourpop. I used that 5 times this month. Then we have the last shadow from the Viseart quad. I've used that 4 times this month. And then here we have Colourpop Wavelength, and I've used that 14 times this month. So I think the biggest changes in this palette are this pan is growing quite quickly. That is also because it is a crumbly shade. It fell, so every time my brush goes into this shadow, I lose some product because it's already loose or looser in the pan. I try to use the loose shadow, but yeah, I just lose some extra, unfortunately. And then the other big changes, I hit pan in the shade Hotness. I actually hit pan in it today. So today I had to go to work. This is one of the looks that I've been doing regularly for the office. So I have, let's see, I have this shadow in my outer corner. I top it with this shadow. This one is kind of like pinky orange, and this is more of a warm golden orange. So I use this as a base, and then I put this over top. Then I blend that out with this shadow first. So put this in my crease. Then I put this shadow in my crease, and then I have this all over the lid. Today I did top it with a topper shade that is in my Expand Those Pants project. But it also works nicely without a topper shade or with a different topper shade. So that is what I've been using. And then I have this in my inner corner pretty much every day that I use eyeshadow. So yeah, I feel like every month I come on here, I'm like, this is it. I don't really know what else to say. I've talked about what I think I can finish. Honestly, I don't know. If I really want to, I could finish, I think, these 3 shadows from the Viseart quad. but then I would really have to limit myself to use those almost every day, and I don't think I want to do that. It is still a focus of me to try and use as much as I can of the shimmer shadow, just because it's such a fragile shadow and it would be easier, I think, to use up than any of the other shadows from the quad. And then for the Colourpop shadows, I don't know if I can finish any more, but I do feel like I still really like this selection of shadows, so I'm gonna keep them in this palette. I might at one point go back to maybe 9 shadows or bring back a selection of cooler toned shadows, but as we're in summer right now, I don't feel the need for that just yet. I'm trying to put my sticky note back in so I can close this palette. So yeah, I might at one point bring back the cooler tone shadows, but right now I'm loving the warm tones and they're just gonna stay as is. So I think that's it for this update. Is it really exciting? I don't know. I mean, I love watching matte palettes where people really finish up a whole palette, but for me personally, it's just not something I can do. I honestly don't know how I'm gonna bring this project back next year, which is crazy to think about. We're at month 6, so maybe I should hold my horses and just get through this year first before I think about what to do next year. But honestly, finishing up a palette, I don't know if I can do it. But yeah, that is something for next year. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will hopefully see you in one of my next videos. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.